Did you know that 76% of working professionals say they don't exercise regularly because they don't have enough time? I get it. Between the deadlines that we have, meetings, and commuting, we simply don't have enough on our calendar to squeeze in just physical exercise. But what if I told you that there's a simple system that you can use to help you stay fit without waking up early or sacrificing your career? I'm Wesley, an executive assistant and executive coach, and I'll walk you through my exact framework that I use to stay fit while working a demanding 9 to 5. So here we go. Principle number 1 is becoming mobile. So humans are becoming increasingly sedentary. We've been sitting too long, and prolonged sitting is linked to chronic pain, poor posture, and decreased mobility. For most white-collar workers, we're bound to our desk for about 8 hours a day. Instead of being I-shaped, we are currently being contorted as C-shaped, and our bodies aren't just meant for that. Every inch that our neck is hunched forward adds 10 to 15 pounds of pressure over our bodies. So when we have good posture, it decreases the amount of pain in our body and helps us walk in confidence because of how good we look. So Dr. Kelly Starrett, in his book Deskbound, gives 3 tips on improving your posture and improving your mobility so that you no longer have this type of pain. If you're an office worker like me, the first tip that Kelly Starrett gives is to get a standing desk. Not everyone has that option, but if you do have that option, a standing desk frees up your hips because when you stand, you're not putting that much pressure down on your hips. And I know for me, I suffered from back spasms, but it wasn't until I was able to get a standing desk that I no longer face back spasms. So if a standing desk is not an option for you, I recommend that whenever you take your break, to just stand up. Go grab coffee, go to the bathroom, walk around, do something to release the pain off of your hips. The next tip I have is to move 30 to 60 minutes a day. This is a tip you hear all the time, but it's true that we need to be moving because we're just too sedentary. Not even elite athletes are moving that much because most of the time they're playing like a sports game for 3 hours a day. The rest of the time they're just sitting. But we as humans need to keep moving to utilize our muscles to get that energy that we need. So I have an hour-long lunch break. 20 of those minutes are used for eating. 40 of those minutes are spent walking. So I love our industrial complex. It's like a square block, but it's got a nice road to walk alongside on. There are these awesome trees and this man-made park nearby. So it's a really great park. I love walking outside because I get exposed to fresh air, sunlight. I get to relax my eyes. There's something about seeing something at a close distance compared to a far away distance that relaxes your eyes. And just being outdoors gets me that reset that I need to conquer the next 4 hours of my day. So walking is simple. We don't need too much to walk. Most of us are able to walk and have the luxury to walk. So the best thing to do is just go outside and go. It's so great for your mood and easy to implement into your daily schedule. So the last tip is to fix your sitting posture. Even though I have a standing desk at work, I'm not standing most of the time. My legs get tired after a while, and typically around the afternoon, after I've done my walks, I will be sitting. And I want to make sure that my head is sitting in a neutral posture, that my head is aligned over my spine. And the way to do that is I'm going to stand up for a moment, but you want to put one hand on your sternum and one hand on your belly button, and then bring your hand down. If it fits exactly on top, then it means your head is neutral. So I'm going to demonstrate. But if you're leaning too far forward, your top hand will go too far forward. And the same thing if you're leaning back, your top hand will lean too far back. So the same thing can be said on a chair when you're slouching too. So if you're going to sit down, make sure your head's in a neutral position and you're able to slouch. So this is a good posture, but this is too far back. So whenever you're sitting, make sure your head's in a neutral posture so that way you're not hunching forward, you're not adding those extra 10 to 15 pounds of force on your neck. Principle number 2 is lifting heavy weights builds discipline. I think it's kind of funny, around the Silicon Valley, you see a lot of jacked nerds. Like, there's these guys that have glasses, chubby cheeks, but are just ripped and shredded. And it shows that, at least around our area, we care about aesthetics, function, and overall fitness. That even though there's a lot of engineers, a lot of software engineers, people want to take care of their bodies, and that includes you too. And one way to do it is by lifting heavy weights. Lifting heavy weights is an easy way to build discipline because it's so repetitive, and you get such a really great feeling after completing a lifting session. So in 2023, I had a goal of becoming big. I just wanted to see what it would look like if I got as big as I could, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I would never get there, but I want to see what it would look like to get to that level. So when I started, I was 135 pounds. I'm 5'6", and it's been about 2 years. I am now 157, which I find so impressive that I've gained 22 pounds of muscle and fat over the years. And this is the biggest I've ever been in my life. But I want to hit the goal of being 180 as a bulk and then cutting down to about 160 and seeing how shredded I would look. But the reason I share that is because I remain consistent in my workouts. Consistency is what's going to take you to your goals and not intensity. So I wish my work had a gym right there, so that way I didn't have to drive. After work, I can just go get a lift session in and call it a day. I don't have that luxury. But what I do have is a gym membership elsewhere. So sometimes I'll go there, lift weights, and then call it a day. But on days where I'm not feeling like going to the gym, but I want to remain consistent with my workout routine, I have a kettlebell and dumbbell at home. So in my backyard, it's easy access for me to change in my gym clothes, walk out there, put a yoga mat down, and get some workouts in. For me, I had a backup plan to my main goal in that on the days that I'm not feeling it, I can do something else that's also easy, that's still as intensive as going to the gym, but I just removed the friction for me to access it. So the same goes for you, whether it's walking, sitting properly, or going to the gym. Just stick to a consistent routine. And once you stick to that routine, make it consistent, and every day that you show up, you get rewarded for it. Like, that's the thing about these workouts too, is that it feels good afterward. So principle number 3 is that sprinting saves you time. I saw this video by First Man titled "Men Over 30 No Longer Sprint." And man, I think that's so true. So I saw LeBron James. He recently came back from his groin injury, and there was this workout video that he posted of him running full sprint down the court and doing dunks on each basket. He did that 5 times. And in the NBA, 40 years old is considered insanely old. Players typically peak from 28 to 32, but to be playing at such a high level, to be considered one of the top 10 players in the world at age 40 is unheard of. And I think the reason for his longevity and his youth is his ability to keep sprinting. So the same goes for us. Sprinting has so many benefits, and I think it's such a great workout to do when you're short on time, because it only takes 4 to 5 sprints before you're out of energy, but you look jacked and shredded because of it. So sprinting also builds muscle. So it's an anaerobic exercise, which means that, like the act of sprinting, it violently rips your body, but your body's response to those tiny rips and micro tears, it builds more muscle over it. So that's in contrast to jogging, where with jogging, your body is using fat for fuel to cover the long distances that you have to cover. So sprinting is such a great cardio workout that if you're ever too afraid of cardio, I suggest that. And an alternative, if you're not able to sprint because of how intense it is, skipping is really great. So I listened to Dr. Stu McMillan on Andrew Huberman's podcast, and he recommended skipping, like the playground skipping. It has similar benefits to sprinting. yet it's so much easier and lighter. So the benefits is that it builds stability and strength in your feet, your ankles, and your knees, and keeps your heart racing. Like, I did a skip workout recently, and I did not imagine how quickly my heart would beat because of it. It is insane cardio. So I have a hill next to my house that I do hill sprints on, and it's obviously a lot more intense, but it's lighter on the knees because of the incline. So if you ever feel like you're short on time but need a full body workout to do, sprints are so easy to add to your routine. And the last principle I have is play more often. Most of us have lost our sense of childish play because the corporate world just crushes our inner child down. And we've stopped figuring out how to use our bodies in the way that it was meant to be, to just go around and move. Most everything that we do is typically static. Like, even going to the gym and doing like these weights tend to be quite static. However, what I recommend is finding a hobby, a physical hobby where you're more dynamic, you're loose, you can be yourself in. So I've had different hobbies of like surfing, dancing, and currently climbing. So climbing for me, I do it twice a week with my colleagues at work. We go to the climbing gym together. That's also where I lift weights. But at this climbing gym, it feels like an adult playground. Like, everyone is like climbing on these structures and we're trying to figure out a problem together. So my favorite part is the socializing, because me and the boys, we're just trying to figure out like, how do we do this certain route that we can't get? And other times we're just chit-chatting about other stuff like real estate or work or girls. It's such a great time. And the reason I bring this up too is because this is a place where we could truly be ourselves. And I mentioned this a lot, but on that podcast with Andrew Huberman and Stu McMillan, Huberman brought up Rick Rubin, the music producer. Rick Rubin, he said like the it factor that most artists have, like Adele or Stevie Wonder, is the ability to fully express themselves. And for me, I've been climbing for about 3 years now. I feel like I've reached that point where I could fully express myself through climbing, and it's so freeing. I remember climbing this one wall. It was a V4, my first attempt, and there's this finger hold that I had to pull myself up on. And on that same hold, I put my left knee down on that hold to stabilize myself and just push myself all the way up to the wall and completed it. So everyone was in awe of like, what the heck? Why did you use your knee? How did it work? But it helped me get past the other holds that were also tricky. And it was my creativity and my ability to express myself that climbing brought out of me. So my recommendation is to find this physical hobby where you can fully express yourself in that way, physically, emotionally, socially, that you get to be yourself. And these are my 4 tips for staying active and healthy while you're balancing a demanding 9 to 5. To focus on your mobility, to have good posture, lifting weights, sprinting, and finding a physical hobby to play around and be yourself in. So thank you so much for watching. And if you're interested in hearing more about personal development videos, you can click here to view my recent video on how to stop people pleasing.